Want to hit people up just with the states that you traveled for this golf trip. And real quick, we'll let them in. We did 40 courses in 20 days. Now, people might hear that and be like, look, I go on golf trips and I play 36 a day. Sometimes I play 54 a day. So those numbers don't really stick out. That's fine. Think that. Let me run you through the list of of states that Chris played in. And then the people out there, you try fathoming how this was even possible over the course of 40 days. Welcome back, podcast patrons, to another episode of Leave the Pin podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dan. I got a special guest today, Chris Greenlee. We're going to talk all about golf trips. We're going to talk about his time in the mini tours. He did an unbelievable golf trip. I'm not going to tell you how many courses right off the bat. I'm not going to tell you how many days, but I am going to tell you that it covered 8,000 miles. He's the first person we've ever talked to that have traveled so far and so many days for golf. But first off, Chris, welcome. Leave the Pin podcast. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Awesome. So, full disclosure, we connected on Instagram after our last episode on the buddies trip. And Chris said, hey, I got a trip that I took and let me let you in on it. And this man just started listing off courses and states. And my mind was just blown in terms of like, how the hell did this happen? So I can't wait to dive into the logistics of it and kind of get into what to me sounds like an ultimate U.S. golf road trip. But I think before we do any of that, Chris, give us a little bit of your background in golf. I know you played mini tours. How did you get into golf in the first place?
Yeah, great question. My grandfather taught me when I was about 4 or 5 years old up here in, Cleveland, Ohio. It's a suburb right outside of it. Brunswick's where I was born. So he would just have me out there hitting balls, chipping balls while I was a kid. And when I turned about 9 or 10, that's when my mom and my grandfather, they really got me into a lot of Northeast Ohio junior tours. And so I played a lot of events in the summertime in between, school. And then got into middle school, got into high school, played on the JV team, went right up to varsity, played for 3 years in high school, and then kind of gave the game up a little bit. I was into snowboarding, skateboarding, being in a band, all that fun stuff, and uh, moved out to Southern California when I was about 21 years old. And when I moved out there with a couple of buddies, we were out there for a couple of years. I was in Long Beach, California, and just started to pick the game back up. And so I had my old Cleveland VAS irons from 1994, and I started using those to play some golf in the early mornings at Recreation Park out in Long Beach, and was still shooting pretty good scores. And then I decided, hey, let's get some new clubs. Let's get with the times, and got some new clubs, started playing really well, played with a buddy of mine, Brendan, and his friends. And we just had a good group of buddies playing every other day, and got my handicap down to a +3, +4, and started to say, hey, back in like '08, let's get into some mini tour events. So went out and played those for a couple of years.
So you didn't play in college at all?
No, no. I mean, I went all the way through my, what would it be? My sophomore year, junior year, actually. Sorry. I played through my junior year and I broke a bunch of records at my high school. It was called Brunswick High School. The coach, he was a little, wore the polo over the shoulders kind of guy, kind of a country club dude. And I mean, all I cared about was being in a band and going snowboarding and skateboarding, but I had the ability to still play good golf. He didn't want me to come back my senior year. And so my mom was super upset because of everything she's dedicated to get me into junior golf. And I told her, I said, don't worry about it, Mom. It's all good. And so I didn't play my senior year and gave it up for about 8 years until I picked the clubs back up in '06. And I last played in '97. So it was about 9 years I didn't play golf until I picked them back up in Long Beach.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Especially for someone that played the mini tours and, as we'll get into it, won on the mini tours. What type of music was the
I mean, it was that skateboard punk rock music,
Yeah,
the
like
bands that we
back
listened
then
to.
you guys out there on the West Coast, you were listening to Pennywise and probably Lagwagons, things like that. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
No Effects and Bad
Yep.
Religion. Oh yeah, yeah. We were big into that scene. I was in a band, and that's part of the reason we moved out west is we wanted to surf, skate, and snowboard all in the same day. And what better place to be down around Huntington Beach, Seal Beach? But where I landed was Long Beach for a while with a buddy of mine. So we were out there for about 6 years before we ended up moving back in 2011 or something like that. So, but yeah, Long Beach, that place was awesome. But I lived like a quarter mile from Rec Park, and it was a golf course. I used to play golf. I wanted to find other things to do during the summer because as you get older, when you fall down skateboarding, it hurts a little bit more. So golf didn't hurt, right? So I really just got right back in, right. The golf itch just got right back into me and just started playing. And when I met Brendan from Be Better Golf, and this guy's done so much for golf out west, and um, it was a great friend of mine and his buddies. We just got into playing 3, 4 times a week and just having awesome games and playing all over Southern California. It was a riot. It was awesome.
I was gonna ask you if Brendan was Brendan Steele because that's his home turf, his home area out there. I mean, he's big into that same type of music as well. Yeah, that's really cool, dude. That's I mean, it's crazy to me because so many people think that there's like a one track path to take in order to either become, whatever, a great amateur golfer, a great mid-am golfer, or great mini tour pro, assistant, whatever it is, PGA, class A pro. But there's not, right? Like this is a game that can be played forever and ever and ever. And dude, I love that. Like I love the non-conventional approach to it. I think there needs to be more people in the game that, are into, I hate to use alternative music, but alternative to mainstream, more
Hmm.
people with tattoos and things like that. I don't get that much here in the Northeast. I think it's probably more common out in SoCal,
Yeah.
probably even in the Northwest too, like once you get to like the Pacific Northwest, like Oregon and things like that. I think it's a little bit more accepted out here. It's that real, you know, tight top button country clubs, like you said, like your coach in high school. Kind of reminds me of that vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm tatted up on both arms too, and have
Yeah,
been
love it. Love it.
before I even got back into golf. And when I'd go out and play these, the Golden State Tour, the Pepsi Tour, when I played some of those events that I went to play, I was the only one that had tattoos. I mean, a lot of these kids were your country club kids and just straight out of high school, and I was definitely a different breed, wearing the bright colored pants, and yeah, I was different, but I had the game to hold it up, so that was good.
Yeah, I was gonna like it's irrelevant, right? Because the bottom line is if you're respectful of the game, respectful of who you play with, like, and especially as being at that level that you were at, everything revolves around what's on the scorecard, right? So if,
Yep.
if you're coming in under par, man, people don't care what you look like after a while when you're going out there shooting 67, 68, 69s every.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And honestly, like, as a muni guy growing up, like, as a non-country club kid, I kinda like kinda sticking it to them, I'm not gonna lie. I got believe me, I got a lot of guys out there that are into clubs that invite me all the time, but I tell my boys all the time, like, "Keep this chip on your shoulder. You come from a nine-hole course, not a manicured
Mhm.
country club." My oldest plays on the 13th ranked team in the country right now. My youngest is an internationally ranked junior golfer. Guess what? You don't have to take a specific path, right? I think, Chris, you're a great example of
Yep,
that.
absolutely. Yeah,
Let's
100%.
let's get let's get into this mini tour because those things are so exciting to me, right? Like golf is the one sport where you can 100% gamble on yourself. And the mini tours really are kind of a lesson in self-gambling. Like you can't have any doubt. You've got to go out and maybe you're not the greatest player in the world, but goddamn, you need to feel like that every single day that you go
Mhm.
out there. You have to have bravado. You have to be cocky when you play. Otherwise, you don't play well. How did you get into the mini tours? And I guess what I mean by that is like, when did you realize your game was good enough? When did you realize your handicap travel that you could show up to any course and just play well?
I mean, the when I was playing with our buddies out there, I mean, we traveled so much in Southern California, and even though we would play new courses, I was really big into shooting the rating of the course. So even though we play the back tees, it's to me it was all about the rating. If it was rated at 75 and I came in shooting 74, then I was a +1 for the day. So I mean, I could go to a lot of these courses, play the back tees. I wasn't exceptionally a long driver, but I had short game that was better than most PGA Tour pros these days. I mean, I can get up and down from everywhere. I was good at putting, but I just lacked the length. And so when we play these big courses and from the back tees, I mean, I'd still hover around par and got my index to like a +2, +3. I think I might even got close to a +4. But my buddy Brendan and a couple of his friends were like, "Man, you should go play the Pepsi tour they do at Brookside out in Pasadena, right around the Rose Bowl. They do like a twilight round on Wednesdays, and they're like, you should go out and try it. And then there was another Pepsi tour that where they did an event at a place called Eagle Glen out in Corona, California, and I loved that course. That course was one of my favorites. So I entered in, and that experience was so much fun. But you're right, you have to be very confident because my whole life, my mom has paid for all of my way to play junior golf. And this is the first time I'm out there shelling back then. We're talking 15 years ago. I'm shelling $300 to play in these tournaments. And my first tournament at Eagle Glen missed my first 3 3-foot putts for par.
Ooh.
And I get to the fourth tee, and the only thought in my head was, I just threw away 300 and some dollars to play in this tournament, and I've knocked myself out of it. At that point, that's when I was watching a lot of Mickelson, and I got into doing 500 3-foot putts a day, 500 6-foot putts a day. I was never going to miss a 3-footer again. And lo and behold, a year later, I won that event there at Eagle Glen. So I was like really stoked about it. But the Golden State, I did a few events there. That was a little tougher. A lot of great players. I think well, some of the Southern California pros from back in the day, I think they came up those ranks. The Mallinger, the Merricks, but there was some of those guys that competed in the Golden State Tour from years back. But it was tough. I mean, you'd have clubs flying over your head. People were so pissed. You'd have a lot of angry kids, and you had to just keep your cool, go out there, play your own game. And I'd fall in the middle of the pack. Maybe a top 10 here and there, but I dedicated so much for 2 years trying to play in these events, and it's crazy. It's a lot of time put into it for sure.
How difficult is that having a full-time job and then playing as well? Because to me, it would seem like the only people that succeed are ones that have some sort of financial backing when they don't have to work.
There's a lot of the folks that are playing in those tournaments. I mean, the Pepsi Tour I think is defunct now, but the Golden State Tour I think is still out there. But
Yeah, it is.
these kids are all, come from country clubs like Virginia Country Club, different clubs out there, or they're in college and parents are paying their way for a lot of these things. I was 28 years old. I'm, from Ohio, living in Long Beach, California. Me and a roommate, where I'm paying 600-700 bucks a month in rent. I have to work 40 hours a week, and then I was practicing 40 hours a week. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you don't even think about anything other than golf and work. And that's all it is. And it's hard to be dedicated, but the kids have a leg up on me. They have nothing to worry about. It's not their money, and they're out practicing because they got no jobs, right? And
Yeah,
so, that's where they can be better. But, when you beat them after working 40 hours a week, it feels a little good, right? Even though I'm not winning the tournaments, it's like, hey,
sure.
I beat these 10, 15 kids that probably play all day, every day. And here I am, the older guy, right? So, but yeah, it was a blast to do, but it was taxing for sure.
At what point does the realization set in? Does reality set in that, hey, God, I hate to say wasting my time doing it because it's not, right? Like there's life lessons, like you can all like, dude, you can always fall back and be like, bro, I played mini tours. Like I was a +4 handicap, right? So you always have that. But I guess what I'm asking is like, what point in time does reality set in being like, wow, like I'm blowing a lot of money. I'm blowing a lot of time in chasing this dragon that might never amount to anything.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is finding a girlfriend. That's one thing. I mean, you can't juggle that and all the practice and the work
Sure.
at that time. I mean, relationships didn't last long because I didn't give them any attention at all because I was just so focused. But I think I tried it for a couple of years. I realized I wasn't going to make that next step. And where I was working, I worked at a place called Sam Ash Music. I was there for about 15
Sure.
years. They're all over the country. So
Yep.
I was one of their top sales guys at that out in Cerritos, California. And they wanted to transfer me to Charlotte, North Carolina. And I think when I got the word that a year from now, I'm probably not going to be in Southern California, I can't afford a house here. I can't afford a country club here. I can do all that in Charlotte. Yeah, I think I'll make that move. And then I just dedicated myself on saving money, and I still played golf as much as I could. But that's what started the whole golf trip, was that before I leave, what I want to do is I want to do an insane trip and go out with a bang before I moved out back east.
This was kinda like a send off, a love letter to Southern California, right? We start there, we
Yeah.
end in NorCal. We'll get into that real quick. I wanna hit people up just with the states that you traveled for this golf trip, and real quick, we'll let them in. We You did 40 courses in 20 days. Now, people might hear that and be like, "Look, I go on golf trips and I play 36 a day. Sometimes I play 54 a day. So those numbers don't really stick out." That's fine. Think that. Let me run you through the list of that Chris played, sorry, of states that Chris played in, and then the people out there, you try fathoming how this was even possible over the course of 40 days. So let's run through them real quick. So we started in Southern California. We went Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and then back to Northern California. Chris, is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's insane. I'm sure you went through a ton of golf balls during that. Or maybe not because you're a good golfer, but if you're not the greatest golfer out there and you want a good 3 or 5 piece golf ball that is relatively well priced, go to Agape Golf. You know they sponsor us. You know my golf locker is filled with golf balls. I can never get enough of them. Agape Golf on Instagram, agape.golf. Check them out for real solid 3 and 5 piece balls. A 5 piece ball is phenomenal. Literally, I can compare it to like the TaylorMade TP5, but much, much better priced. So, Chris, we've got this idea of playing 40 courses in 20 days, or like you said in the beginning, it was supposed to be 18 days. You added 2 on. I kind of want to go back to the start. Like, I want to go to the sketchbook. First off, how do you even decide that these are the states you're going to play? Start me there.
Yeah, absolutely. So since my family all lives in Cleveland, I'm never going to go travel back there in the wintertime. So I like to go around July 4th. And so I usually would fly out there for July 4th weekend, fly home to go visit. And so I've driven across the country because I moved back and forth from Cleveland to California about, I'd say I probably drove back and forth almost 10 times, right? So I've been across the country. So I started off right when the calendar flipped to 2011. I was thinking about taking a trip, and I said, why not take the southern route? You know, go the southern route, kind of get my way up to Ohio, have a little pit stop, get to visit with the family for 3 days, and then why not take like a northern route? And because I was so much of a, I was so addicted to golf. I got the Golf Digest magazines. I got the Golf magazine where they always gave you the top 100 courses, that you could play, the public courses. So I just started mapping some things out and some things changed. I mean, Deer Run moved their tournament up 2 weeks, so I had to move some things around. I had a golf pro, I think it was Dana Dahlquist out in Skylinks, and he was supposed to get me onto Valhalla. So I just started mapping out all the different states each day, at least try to play 36. Got surprised by playing some more some days, and yeah, took my schedule from work, and I got 2 weeks off plus my weekends. It turned out to be 18 days. And then about a week beforehand, he gave me an extra day. But it was kind of funny calling these courses, getting the logistics all figured out, getting the tee times. Of course, I'm from Southern California. I would say on average, our public golf rounds are about 5.5 hours on a weekday. So I planned all of my, when I was doing, AM round and the PM round, I put like 5 to 6 hours between rounds, but I found out afterwards, a lot of these courses I got in and out of there in 3 hours. So I was like super early to my other times. But yeah, I mean, it was just mapping it all out, getting it all the logistics. I was calling these courses up in the north. They were closed. I didn't realize it's winter up in Montana, Dakotas. And so that was kind of fun. I had to like wait a little bit. But I had my buddy Brendan. We were good buddies out there, and I wanted him to go with me. And he had his wife, and his wife was about 6 months pregnant at the time. And I was like, yeah, he can't go. So I don't think he could be away for that long. So I just decided to do it by myself and planned a hotel every other night and let's just see what happens. And I had my tea times and a full tank of gas and said, let's go on. Let's go ahead and do it. So I started it right at the end of June on a Friday. Started out in Southern California and just let the adventure take itself on.
So you told me this. We're looking at about 8,000 miles, correct?
I believe the odometer, the readings that I have jotted down, I think it was just like 8,000 and like 27 miles from start to finish.
And
It's insane.
what type of car did you do it in?
I was driving my It was a brand new, Nissan Maxima.
Okay. All right. So decent
Yeah.
gas mileage and you're traveling by
Yeah,
yourself, so you don't need that much room in
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, the trunk, I had my tour bag back there, I had my carry bag, and then right before I went on the trip, I bought this dope luggage rack that goes in your back of your car seat that, like, where the oh shit handles are. And I had this nice luggage rack. I had every pair of clothes for every day all lined up in the luggage rack. So I was ready. I had my 10 pairs of shoes that I had in the back. I mean, everything was laid out perfectly. And yeah, I mean, it was fun just getting set up for it. It was
All right. So
exciting.
let me throw this out there because I'm gonna throw a shot in the dark. I think it's safe to say you're a very analytical person. Am I correct?
Well, I mean, I pay attention to numbers a little
Okay.
bit.
All right.
Yeah.
So when you're mapping this out, like I know me, I'm sure borderline OCD in some things, right? I'd probably be there and like literally on a map. Okay, I'm going Southern Cal to Arizona, right? That's whatever 325. I'm making stuff up. 325 miles. I'm gonna need to get. I'm gonna get gas here. I'm gonna stay here. Like, did you have all this kind of bullet pointed out? Because I feel like you would need to in order to accomplish all of this in 20 days.
Yeah. With the experience of traveling across the country before, gas stations are everywhere. Hotels are everywhere, right? I mean, really, the only thing that I made sure I pinpointed was my tea times. And I knew prior to going how many hours I was going to be on the road. And so that's what dictated, can I get a hotel here or do I need to drive through the night and stop at rest areas? And so I had a really good plan, but I just knew if I had to stop for gas, restroom break, or whatever it might be, I mean, I knew there, you drive 20 miles, you'll run into something, right? Until you get to, you know, North Dakota, you drive 100 miles before you find anything. You know what I mean? But yeah, I had it laid out to a degree for sure.
So those nights that you didn't stay in the hotel, are we just driving through with no sleep? Are we catching 2, 3 hours at a rest stop in the car? You know, like closing our eyes, reclining the chair back? How's that work?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be attracting the ladies for sure. I mean, I just played, 36 holes. It was 115 to 120 degrees just in Arizona and California. I would play 36 holes and I would just, if I got tired, I'd just go to a rest area, sleep for like an hour, get back up, and drive a little bit more. And so when I didn't have a hotel, it was just rest areas, or the fun parts was when I had to sleep in parking lots. And I did this at TPC Scottsdale and TPC Louisiana because I got there so early that I started to just like, oh, I'll just park in a parking lot, kind of like what they do at Torrey Pines or Bethpage, and I'll wait until they open. Well, the thing is I fall asleep and all of a sudden the janitors are walking around my car at both places. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So it freaks me out. I don't know where I am. So in Arizona, I ended up driving 5 minutes down the road just to find a hotel. It's like, well, shoot, I could have done this 2 hours ago.
Right.
Yeah, those were the only two times I got caught in someone's parking lot and kind of freaked me out. So in Louisiana, I ended up going to like some hotel a few minutes down the road and just fell asleep in that parking lot. But yeah, every other day was pretty much sleeping in a car for the most part. Yeah. So it was disgusting. My wife would hate it now. She'd be like, just get a hotel. Jesus.
And you know what? You're younger back then too, right? Like
Right.
hindsight looking back, you're like, I would not do that now. Like, I don't even know if I'd play 36 or 54 in the day. I might just, take it leisurely and make this last a month instead of 20 days or whatever.
100%. Yeah.
So when you're booking these times, right? Because there's some really top tier courses here. Um, are you calling all in advance? Like, did you have them all booked out before you left, or are you kind of doing some things on the fly? Is like they're wheeling dealing going on? Are you meeting people that are like, hey, I can get you on here instead of where you're going there?
Yeah, not really. I mean, it was more or less like calling the places and scheduling the tee times. I mean, a lot of these public courses that are on the top 100, I mean, you could call and get these advanced tee times 6 months in advance. And plus, I'm only a single. It's pretty easy to
Right.
get on anywhere, right? So I did get a lot of the times in advance. The only time, I mean, I had a Dana out in Skylinks, he was supposed to get me onto Valhalla and French Lick, and of course there was a storm that day. I ended up canceling that, but there wasn't a whole lot of movement. What I picked, from this 3 to 6 months out, Those were the courses I stuck to. The tough part was up north because everything was closed. That apparently up in like North Dakota, they had a lot of flooding between 2010 and 2011 that knocked out almost all of their golf courses because a lot of their courses are around this huge river. And I don't think it's the Mississippi River, but it's a big river up there, but they flooded out a ton of courses. So I had a hard time finding a second course to play like that day. But it ended up working out because I met people on the course. They told me where to go, but I didn't have a lot of people that could just get me on. Now in Ohio, I got to play a place called Westfield. That's a big insurance company out here. They had a really nice course. We did play that on July 4th because we had an invite because my grandfather worked in insurance industry for so long. So he made a call and got us on that. But everything else was, I did it all myself, but everything was planned out in advance. There was one course, and that was in North Dakota, where I showed up and just said, "Hey, can I play?" But everything else was planned out to a T.
I was gonna ask you, was it in North Dakota? Like, what was the course that was furthest from, let's say, the main road or the main route? That seemed the most kind of out there.
Like on the trip, like one that
Yeah,
was off the. I mean, I guess these. Honestly, the one that was way out of the way was it was a course called Longaberger in Ohio, now called the Virtues.
yeah. They used to do those baskets and stuff, right? Isn't there like main hub? It looks like one of those Longaberger baskets. Their main like
Yeah,
campus.
something
Yeah.
So yeah, something weird like that. And that place was a little out there because it's kind of by Columbus, but we drove from Cleveland, so it was a 2-hour drive out of the way. But everything else that I picked was really right off the freeway. I mean, of course, Bandon is out of the way,
Sure. Sure.
because it's just way out there. But most everything, I didn't have to drive really too far out of the way on any of these courses. Maybe in Alabama at the Shoals, that felt like it was a little off a little bit, but everything was right where the main arteries of all the freeways were in the country. So they were all pretty close.
Do you have the ability still? And I know this is an epic trick, but it's also 14 years ago at this point in time, and I know how my memory is. It's not great. Do you have the ability, if I name the state, would you be able to tell the course and maybe one thing about it that kind of sticks out if possible?
But yeah, I mean, when
Yeah.
I got home, I wrote it all down. So
Okay.
I would never forget it because I didn't realize what I did till after I got home. And when people were telling me, "Are you kidding me?" Like they just couldn't believe it. So
Right,
I
which
ended
was
up
my
just
first
writing.
response.
Yeah, so I wrote it all down so it could be fresh in my memory, but, I mean, my wife will tell you, she's like, "I don't know how he forgets to take the trash out, but he can remember what that putt did 3 weeks ago on that other
The
hole,"
13th
So
hole in June
yeah,
27th in Michigan. Yeah, I know.
right, yeah, so, no, I do remember a lot of what transpired. It feels like it was yesterday for me.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's go the state, you bang out the course, and then kind of one thing you remember about the course quickly. What was the first one in SoCal? What did we play there?
First one I went to was Silver Rock. It's where they used to do the Bob Hope Classic. I think it just ended when I started playing there. Played with some guys, locals were telling me a lot about like Bubba Watson, driving this green on this hole. And it's a really cool course. It's flat, but it's got a really cool mountain backdrop. And this is in Palm Springs, California. So I was really excited. I went there and it was a really cool course. And then from there, if we're just going to talk states, they just did the big break at a place called Indian Wells. It was
Hmm.
on TV at the time I played it. So I played, I believe, the players course there right after I played Silver Rock. Not really anything special about it. I ran into a group on the eighth hole, played in with the threesome, but it was a cool hole. There was a par five. I think it was like 600 yards. It goes up and back down. And I think I had 300 yards, hit a 3-wood and put it on the front of the green, 300 yards. And again, I'm not the longest hitter, but I remember that because I made a birdie there. I was
Yeah.
like super stoked about that hole. But I mean, but both were great courses, 115 degrees. So as soon as I got done with that, I went right to Denny's, got something to eat, and I'm pretty sure I took a shower in the sink, trying to just wash myself off because of how disgusting I was that day. But yeah, that's what I remember about those ones. But Silver Rock was really cool. I love the scenery there.
Did you keep score during this trip? Like, do you have your scores listed? Like, or was it
Yeah,
more
I
of
mean,
okay?
I have my scores, so I know what I shot.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. So we moved to Arizona. It's still hot as hell out there. Where we play in Arizona?
Arizona, first stop 6:26 a.m. after I got in that hotel that I was trying to sleep in the parking lot. So I'm also trying to be budget conscious too, right?
Sure.
So I got a hotel that I didn't expect. And so there's $60 there, right? But yeah, 6:26, first tee time at TPC Scottsdale. I was playing with these two guys. I don't know where they were from. Another guy was from California. Really cool course. It was my first time really playing desert courses. I mean, I played in Vegas a little bit, but playing where they play the waste management was pretty awesome. And but these guys were slow. So I was like, you know what? About the hole number 12, I said, guys, I got to zoom out of here. And I just went and played on my own. And I'm just dicking around playing. And I get to number 17. That's the drivable par four at the waste management. And I'm playing the tips and I hit my drive and it goes just to the little collection area, just right of the green. And as I'm walking back to the cart, I realize, shoot, I just played the 16th hole. And, that's the grandstands, right?
Yeah.
The big stadium hole. And I just, made a ho hum par, hit it on the green, made two putts. But since that group behind me was so far back, I went back to 16 and played it again, trying to
I love that.
visualize, just tried to visualize like the stands that were there. And I'm not going to say in a bad way that it was a very disappointing feeling, but I mean, if the grandstands aren't there, it looks nothing like what you see on
Mediocre.
TV. It's
Mediocre.
just flat
100.
as can be. And I'm like, okay, that was a little bit of a letdown. So,
Yeah.
but 17, 18 were cool. And I zoomed out of there and went to a place called True North. It's another top 100 course. I was supposed to play the Monument course, but I got there so early that I ended up playing the Pinnacle course. And I got paired up with these Asian family. It was a grandpa who didn't speak any English, the dad, and the son or the grandson. And the dad, he was buying me a couple of drinks, listening to the story. They were the coolest dudes ever. We had such a blast. It was hilarious because their grandfather, especially you get this in Southern California, but if you hit a good shot, they're just like, nice shot, that's all he kept saying the whole round. But we had a blast. And then I went to my car, and that's why I brought up the luggage rack earlier. It was 121 degrees when I got to my car. And the luggage rack that I bought from wherever it was, Walmart probably, the plastic clips on the end that hold up to the oh shit bars melted. So now my
Wow.
clothes are a complete pile in my back seat. So as anal as I am about nice clothes looking good, now I just have a pile of clothes in the back seat. So it was hot, and but then I had a 14-hour drive to San Antonio. So that was a long drive.
You mentioned keeping it budget conscious. I'm just curious, and if you don't mind sharing. Obviously, this is 15 years ago almost now. You mentioned $60 for a hotel room. People I think would be like, "Oh my god, where can I find a $60 hotel
Right.
room that's not like in a, next to a crack house in a slum somewhere?" What did this cost approximately?
Oh, I mean, give or take 100, $200, 5 grand,
Okay.
5,000 bucks.
I mean, God, when you think about it, like, I mean, I go to Pinehurst, usually twice a year. I know what the prices are down there. You go out to Bandon, you go
Mhm.
out to Pebble and stuff like that. That is honestly beyond reasonable. I would have thought double that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, me and my wife, we just went to Ireland this past summer, and I played 7 of the top courses in Ireland. It was our second time back, and me and her we paid $10,000 to go look at a whole bunch of castles and play 7 rounds of golf. Only I played. She got to
Right.
walk and be my
Yeah.
content creator. But I mean, we paid 10 grand just for a 12-day trip.
Wow.
This is 20 days, so, I mean, where I saved money was not getting all the hotels, and back then, I mean, I remember it's funny you mention it because when I got to Indian Wells after I played Silver Rock and I was so, early, I wanted to play the Twilight round, which was 35 bucks, and
Wow.
I was so early, and I was like, "I don't wanna spend $60 to play the normal rack rate." And I'm just like, oh, I look back at it now, I'm like, $25. I wanted to almost wait in the clubhouse for 2 hours. But I ended up paying the $60 and doing it. But yeah, yeah, I was just keeping an eye on my money. Every place had a pin flag, so I'd buy one of those. So, I got 22 pin flags from these courses. So, but yeah, it was a ride. It was fun, but I just tried not to spend too much, which kind of bit me in the ass in Wisconsin when I'm sure we get to that.
Well, I think too nowadays, I mean, adjusted for inflation and the boom that golf had after COVID, whether you like that or not, you know, that 5,000 is probably, I'm going to say maybe 8,000, 8,500 in today's, which again, like if for most people, thinking of this, hearing this episode, they're gonna say, "Man, this is a bucket list trip. Like, this is a once in a lifetime trip." So if you really think about a once in a lifetime vacation or an adventure,
Hmm.
8,500 to play this much golf is pretty solid. So we're in Texas right now, right? So we're southern Texas. We're in San Antonio. Take us to there
Yeah, so I got 14 hours of a drive and of course, long drive. I didn't really eat much, didn't sleep much, just tried to drive throughout the whole night. And of course, I was pounding 5 hour energy drinks and Doritos like the whole time. And it was kind of going to bring up to border patrol at El Paso, Texas. Was quite the experience. I've been driving for 8 hours or so, and I get to border patrol, and the young kid there gets my ID and he's like, what's your name? Where you coming from? I'm like, California. Where you going? San Antonio. And he's like, where'd you get this car? I was like, Cerritos, California. What year is it? Then it not. And he's asking these ridiculous questions. He gives me my ID back, and then he goes, "Let me see your ID." I go, "Dude, didn't you just see my ID?" He's like, "Pull over." I had to pull over to the side in El Paso, and this is, I think, right off I-10. And all they see in the back of my car is the pile of clothes that I haven't rearranged yet, right? And they just see some kid who's just, I'm probably flushed. I probably stink. I just played, 36 holes. And Border Patrol pulls me over, and there was a couple guys, nice guys, and they open up my trunk and they see the tour bag, the shoes, the golf stuff. And they're like, where are you going? And I'm like, golfing. And they're like, and so I was telling the border guy about my trip while the other guy's walking around the car inspecting me. And then all of a sudden, this old school Buick, box looking East Buick, comes pulling in behind me. And the canine dog starts going bonkers. And I'm like, okay. And then the cops guy looks at me and he's like, dude, you're good. He's like, have a great trip. Have fun. He sends me out of there. And they all started bum rushing this Buick. And I'm like, my gosh, someone had probably drugs or whatever.
for
Like they
sure.
caught somebody. Luckily, I was like, "Whew, I'm out of there," and drove the rest of the way and got to a place called Pecan Valley, which is now not a golf course anymore, but it's where they played the 1968 PGA Championship, and I believe it's where Palmer lost by one shot to Julio Boros, if I'm not mistaken. So it was like his one crack at it. It was a cool course, a muni course, nothing spectacular, but you could see back in its day it had a lot of promise. I found out like 5 years later that I think they closed the course down completely. But once I got out of there, got a hot dog, went over to La Cantera, and that's where they used to play the PGA. I believe the Valero Open up until like '08 or something like that. I believe Zach Johnson won that one year. And that was a really cool course. The first hole was awesome. It's like a 650-yard par five, downhill, dogleg right. And I remember that hole, but it overlooks an amusement park, almost like a Six Flags or something, which is really cool. But played La Cantera. I got around there pretty quickly. There was another hole that was a par four, drivable downhill on the back nine, and I hit a drive and it went all the way up to the green next to this twosome. And so I drive my cart down there and I'm like, "Hey guys, I apologize." And they're like, "Dude, if you wanted to play with us, just let us know." And I was like, "No, no, no. I didn't mean to hit it that far." And they're like, "Dude, just play with us." It was these two guys from Ontario, Canada, coolest dudes ever on a golf trip. And it turns out they were playing TPC San Antonio the next day, 20 minutes after my tee time. And so we played the last few holes at La Cantera. And in order to play the TPC San Antonio back then, you had to stay at the Marriott. And so you paid $400, I think is what it was, for your night of a hotel. And then it's unlimited golf the next day. And so I got these guys to meet me in the morning. We played 18 holes on the, I believe it's the Valley course, the Pete Dye course. Exceptional. Super surprised. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but that course was really cool. I really enjoyed it. So I send them away. I go back in the clubhouse. I said, "Hey, I want to play the Oaks course." That's now where they play the Valero Open. And of course, I get there and they had punched fairways, punched greens, and sanded greens on the PGA course. And I was so disappointed. So, not much to say about that. I mean, it was a cool course, but I didn't have the best experience there because of that. And I thought I was going to play 72 that day because I had nothing else to do. And so I then went back, played the Valley again, and shot really well. I think I shot a 68 or 69 on the Valley. So I was playing good, got 54 holes in, and then I was like, well, I guess there's nothing else to do here. But funny story about the Marriott, it's a pretty bougie hotel. And when I got in there, I took a shower, got all relaxed, refreshed. And I'm looking at the food service menu, speaking of budgets, and I'm like, I'm not spending $30 for like whatever they had on the menu, a hot dog. I'm like, so I'm the only one waiting outside of the Marriott with all these bougie people everywhere. And here comes Pizza Hut with a pizza and a 2 liter. So I grabbed my pizza, my 2 liter. I go back upstairs. They had the Indians game on. I made it through like 3 innings and passed out. And then the next day, played at 7 in the morning and played those 3 rounds. And then I just traveled abroad. I was supposed to go to Houston for Redstone, but that was one of the courses I had to switch. They used to play a PGA event there, I think right before the Masters, but it was closed for renovations. But yeah, then I made my way up to Louisiana to go sleep in another parking lot that basically got booted out of as well.
So was most of the food in between rounds just kind of like whatever you could find wherever? I mean, because you're playing 36, 54 holes a day, even if you're
Yeah.
riding, like you're still banging out 10, 15,000 steps. Like you've got to consume a ton of calories because you're burning a ton, especially, man, you're running through these southern states in the middle of the summer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was hot. It was a lot of hot dogs and Snicker bars at the turn. It was, usually between rounds, I'd find somewhere to eat, even if it was McDonald's. I didn't do a lot of fast food. A lot of times I'd kind of, eat at the course. Like I'd just grab a sandwich or grab a hot dog or something like that, grab Subway or something like that. But yeah, I
And that's
kept it a
probably the
little bit
easiest
more.
time wise, too, right? Just to eat
Yeah,
right there and then we can go off and drive.
exactly. Yeah, it just made it easier. Yep.
All right, so we're Louisiana now again in this, I mean, the devil's armpit in the middle of June here. It's got to be hot and swampy.
Oh, yeah. 100 degrees, 100% humidity.
Yeah.
Out there in the swampy, good old Louisiana. So I make it back to the course, in the morning. I played with this guy from Baton Rouge. He had so many stories about wrestling alligators. He's this big old guy. And then because Katrina just happened, not too long before that, I think a year or two, and he was telling me the story about him and his mom, like, trying to find a hotel before Katrina came. And now keep in mind, this guy lives in Baton Rouge. This all came in New Orleans, and he couldn't find a hotel till he got up to Iowa, is how booked all the hotels were just to go up. But really cool dude. That was a fun course, because that's where they play the what's it, Zurich Classic there now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That course was awesome because it's just so different. It's not what you're used to anywhere else. The way they have the planks, it's a Pete Dye design, but the planks around the water, around the bunkers, like it was just really cool. Didn't see an alligator. I was kind of pumped. I wanted to see one. The starter guy came to us on 18, said, "Hey, be careful. There's an alligator right by the green on 18." And then here comes a mower guy right along, and I guess it jumped back in the water. So I never got to see it. Didn't It took like 10 more years before I saw an alligator on a golf course, but I was kind of let down. But then I went over to another course called English Turn, and they used to play the tour back there before TPC Louisiana. And man, you pull into English Turn, it's like a private club, but they're open to the public here and there. Their clubhouse looked like it was back from like the East. And you walk in there and it's got that old timey smell that you would smell in a clubhouse. Oh, wood everywhere. And I went into them and I said, "Hey, how old is this clubhouse?" They're like, "Oh, it was built in 1986 for the tour." And I'm like, "Oh my
It's like
goodness." I'm
some
like,
Disneyland crap there,
right.
you
I was
know?
like, "This thing looks so old." But I tell you what, the English turn was cool. It had no signage on the course. You had no clue what hole you were playing on. I played through the first 9 holes. This was where I got my first taste of rain. I got rain for about 10, 15 minutes. A little storm came in, but everybody went inside. And so it opened up the complete back nine for me. So I was able to play. They have a really cool par five that's an island green that's gettable in two. And so I was able to hit that in two, which felt really good. And as I was finishing the last 2 holes, there must be some air base there. There was F-16s flying across and overhead. Super cool. I had a blast out there. And then just drove a little bit ways up and get up into Alabama, into Tuscaloosa, good old University of Alabama.
Yeah, roll tide. So where did you play in Alabama? Was that Shoals Creek?
Well, the first place I stopped at was Ross Bridge. I think Ross Bridge, like, I mean, they have everything there. Grand National, I've played Capitol Hill since this whole tournament, or not tournament, but this whole
Is that all
trip that
part
I
of the
did.
RTJ trail? All
Yes, they're
those?
all the
Yeah, okay,
Robert
okay.
Trent Jones. So Ross Bridge is probably the most expensive, and at that time it was like 120, 100, no, $150, I think. I had the first tee time. I went out there. This course blew me away. It was just felt like it was just 1,000 acres of a golf course, and it's 18 holes. The senior tour used to play there, and I thought about backing it up to the black tees. I think it's like 8,200 yards, somewhere around there. And the starter's there, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna play all the way back there?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? 8,200 yards." They're like, he's like, "Senior tour don't even play there." And I said, "Where do they play from?" He's like, "The purple tees." I'm like, "Well, I guess I'll play the purple tees." There are still 7,500 yards. So it's a long course. But being the first one out there, I mean, the whole course was covered in dew. They got like three different teams cutting the greens. So I'm sitting there watching them cut the greens, and the greens are as green as can be once they get the dew off of that. It was just so surreal the first few holes and just so scenic. So I got to play there. And then after I left, I was driving through that area. And apparently there was one of the deadliest tornadoes that went through Alabama like a month beforehand. And I'm driving on the freeway and I'm seeing trees knocked all over. I'm seeing houses crushed to rubble. I'm like, the hell happened here, right? And I found out afterwards that's where the tornado went through, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I had a picture or two of it because I took pictures of like, why are these trees sideways? This is so weird looking. But yeah, I drove a couple hours north, went to the Shoals. The Shoals, I played the first 18 holes pretty quickly. It was still hot. It's 100 degrees and humid as can be. And I went to go play the other course. They have the Fighting Joe and the Schoolmaster. And so I went in there, did the replay rate, and that was the first time I put shorts on. So by the way, I play in pants no matter what, no matter the temperature. That was the first time I played in shorts on that trip because
You
it
know,
was so hot.
you had mentioned the cost in the beginning. You said about $5,000. I said maybe they'd be 8,500 right now. As you mentioned Ross Bridge, I just said, you know what? Let me check real quick to what they are now. You can get a tee time between 75 and 185 bucks depending on time of the year. So that's really not that far off from where you were. So maybe that 8,500 in today's money, maybe that's way over exaggerated. You know, you might be able to do this trip for, you know, maybe 1,000 or 2 more than you paid back 15 years ago. So that's not bad at all. I was surprised by that.
No, yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, I'd say today's money, it might be 7,500, 6,500. I mean, because we know hotels went up a bunch, right? I mean, you can't find a $60 hotel these days unless, like you said, it's in
Yeah,
a very shifty area.
for sure.
Mostly your hotels are going to be 100, $150 a night, so, and gas is a little bit more than it was then. Probably not by much, but the golf rates, yeah, they've gone up in some places, but I don't think extravagantly. I mean, I know Bandon Dunes went up versus what I paid, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
So we've got a big jump now, right? From the south, and we're starting to work our way north, correct, on this trip?
Yeah, so I get out of the Shoals, I drive 8 hours. This was the thing I was the most excited for was, the TPC Deer Run, which is in Silvis, Illinois. It's about, I don't know, you could probably jump to your left, you're in Iowa. It's that close. So
Okay,
it's nowhere
gotcha.
near Chicago, right? It's the furthest west you could almost go in Illinois. And so, I'm driving up and I'm getting in the parking lot, and dude, I have a video of myself, like, screaming and yelling that I was at Deer Run because I was so excited. I was on 0 hours of sleep. And I was like, "Oh, that deer run," and you pull in and they got all the tractors all set up. I mean, I played the day before it was closed for the tournament. So they start the tournament on Monday with the pro-am. I played that Friday.
Awesome,
So the
awesome.
so the course was in all tournament conditions. All the grandstands were almost all the way built up, all the signage, everything. So for me, it's the first time I got to play at a course where it was built for the PGA Tour event. And so I get in there and I remember I was on the first green and I took a practice putt and I hit what I thought was a 10-foot putt, went 10 feet by. These greens were rolling at a 13. I was like, "Oh my goodness." And I played well. I mean, it was cool. I took pictures. I went up the camera towers on a few of the holes in the back nine, some drivable par fours. And I was taking pictures of where my ball was on the green from the camera tower to show my grandfather.
Awesome.
Like,
That's
I'm like, "Hey,
awesome.
look if I was on TV,
Yeah.
And but I shot 68, 3 under par from the back tees. I played well, and I was super excited. Even had a drink and some food afterwards. Then the Deer Run tournament, of course, happened the next week, and I was somewhere, and I'm watching, and these guys are shooting what 25 under for 4 days,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh, 3 under might not even make the cut." I was like, "Geez, I thought I played well." And then I'm realizing I'm not still not as good as them, but that was a lot of fun, and that was very enjoyable. And then I drove 2 hours east into Chicago to go play Cog Hill and to play number 4 Dubs Dread, and that's where they played the BMW Championship until they took it away there. In that one, you drive into what looks like a muni course, but it has this huge clubhouse, awesome looking clubhouse. And I'm like, what am I, playing here? I'm like looking at these holes and it just looks like, complete, muni course. And once you hit the first drive on Cog Hill number 4, it's a dog leg left. You hit the first drive and then you look left and you play that first hole. Everything starts to open up to what the course is. And it's your traditional, looks like, like Medina, like Firestone, real tree lined ups and downs, valleys. I mean, really, really incredible course. I mean, obviously, it's a lot better than the other 3 courses they may have there. But when you pulled up to it, you have no clue. It reminded me a lot of Southern California's public courses where you just got dudes on the green. You can tell, like, hey, I got off work. I'm just going to go putt around kind of guys. And then you start playing that course and it was incredible. I was paired up with this guy, which I always felt sad when I played with these people because you get to know them for 4 hours. And then you're like, all right, see you later. Never talk to you guys again.
Yeah, yeah.
But, and you make these relationships. And back in 2011, Facebook wasn't a big thing for older people,
I was gonna say the
right?
social media aspect that is inherent in the game now was not there. So you couldn't be like, "Hey man, here's my handle." Like, hit me up next
Exactly.
time you're in town. And then you keep up with them and you're like, "Oh my god, that guy's traveling here. Like I'm only 2 hours from there." And you meet up again.
Right, and it would have been really cool, but obviously, I mean, this guy, I mean, I'm 30 years old at this point, 30, and this guy, he was probably 50, and he was the coolest guy, salt of the earth dude, and, it's just like I know a 50-year-old in 2011 doesn't have Facebook. He
Sure.
doesn't have a
Sure.
MySpace, he doesn't have any of
Yeah.
this stuff, so, I was like, "I'll never see this guy again," but, yeah, we played they have a 19th hole there, which is really cool, so you play 18, and then they got this little par 3 19th hole, to kinda settle up bets, as I guess you would say.
Sure.
But yeah, I had a blast there, and then that's where things kinda got a little wonky and off kilter is that I didn't have Dana wasn't able to get me on Valhalla, or I didn't hear anything from him. There was this huge system running through Kentucky, the next day, because the only thing I'm paying attention to besides my tee times is the weather. I wanna see where's the weather on the app that I had, and, and I was supposed to play French Lick, and it was like a few hours to get down there, and I was like, "I'm not driving a few hours down there to find out I get rained out. I don't even know if I have a time at Valhalla, and then I'm gonna have to drive a few hours back up to Cleveland." I'm like, "I might be just driving 10 hours for no reason." So, I called my folks at home, and I called my grandfather and my mom. I was like, "Hey, I'm coming a day early, so find a course for tomorrow." And so my grandfather found a local course here in Ohio. I drove the few hours, got to stay in my, my old house, essentially. And that was kind of like the intermission of the trip. I mean, I just did all of that. And then I ended up having 4 days in Ohio. That I played this course called Raigua, which is was a private, semi private club. The next day, I played with some friends at a place called Tanglewood. They used to play the Cleveland Open in like '72 there, and also a place called Stonewater. I played those 2 in the same day. Stonewater, they used to do the web.com nationwide, which is now
Okay.
Corn Ferry,
Yep.
obviously. So I played Stonewater, and then the day after that, July 4th, that's where we played Westfield Country Club, and then got to hang out with the family for July 4th activities. And then me and my grandfather and a buddy of mine, we traveled down to Nashport to go play the Virtues, or what was Longenberger. And that was Longenberger was like if you've played Longenberger, you almost played Ross Bridge in Alabama. They're very similar as far as the rolling hills and everything. And then I came back home, and then it was ready to start part 2 of the trip.
So you're in Ohio for those 4 days, right? Was the Alabama to Illinois the longest overnight drive or the longest distance between, or no?
No, no, it was Phoenix to San Antonio.
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
I think if I remember correctly, and I think it was 14 hours overnight.
Wow, gotcha.
So that's why I really tried to hurry up out in Arizona, and that's why I went off a lot earlier. I think I got done at like, I don't know, call it 5 o'clock. I showed up to Pecan Valley at like 6 or 7 in the morning. So, and I think at that time I didn't gain the hour either, because Arizona doesn't follow the daylight savings time. So
Right,
I believe
right.
those are both the same time zone. So, but yeah, that was the longest drive. And I was glad I got that done early. But Alabama, northern Alabama to Silvis, Illinois, that was about 8 hours. It was a
Okay.
long drive.
Okay.
But yeah, big
So
time.
we worked our way south, right? We hit the midpoint, and now we're kind of taking the northern trail back to Northern California. We're stopping in Michigan. I'm assuming at this point in time the weather kind of changed. Like we're really kind of experiencing great weather in the north in the summertime. Because what are we? We're late June now, right? Just
Oh, well,
about.
yeah, we're early
No, I'm
July,
sorry. We're
right?
yeah,
So
July 5th. July
yeah,
5th now. We're okay in Michigan. Yeah, my bad. My
yeah,
bad.
yeah. So July 5th, July 6th was TPC, Michigan. So I drove the 3 hours, but yeah, you're absolutely right. The humidity's gone down a little bit. It's 70 and humid. It's not 100 and humid.
Sure, big difference.
Yeah, huge difference. And honestly, like if anyone's ever going to do the trip, you'd rather get those hot days over with early. You don't want to end on those hot days. I'm already exhausted. Uh,
Yeah, how's your energy level at this? So we're we're
He's
we're halfway in. We're 10 days in. You've played 20 plus courses at this point in time. You played a ton in Ohio, back to back. You did get some home time with the family and some good home
sure,
cooked meals, but
you
how's
got it.
how are your mentals out there? Like how are you feeling physically?
Dude, if I wouldn't have had Cleveland, I wouldn't have made it. I mean, there's no way.
Was that just
Cleveland
kind of
is
like a big reset point for you?
big time,
Yeah.
because my drives aren't gonna be farther or that far away. I have a bed to sleep on that I'm comfortable in. Mom's making lasagna, tacos, all sorts of good home
Yeah.
cooked meals.
Yeah.
And you're really you're just recharging the batteries at that point, and you're getting also a lot of sleep, and you're not on the road, so I was pretty much like a walking zombie going into Deer Run and Cog Hill, and that was part of the other reason why I went to Cleveland early is like, I mean, I might get rained out, but I'm also so exhausted. I just want to sleep somewhere, somewhere I'm comfortable at. So having, if you're going to do a trip cross country, make sure your halfway point's where a family member is, or somebody that you can go crash for a couple of nights just so you can reset, clean the clubs, get everything reorganized, do some laundry, whatever you got to do. But yeah, it was a blessing in disguise that I made that trip and had those 3, 4 nights there because then when I went to Michigan, I was completely re-energized, ready to go, right? So I go to TPC Michigan, nothing fancy. The senior tour used to play there. I don't even know how I got on that course. I think it was because I was going to join TPC Piper Glen out in Charlotte. And because I was going to join there when I moved to Charlotte, 2 months after my trip,
Mhm.
they ended up getting me on TPC Michigan because they were owned by the same company, which was a heritage company back then. And so I got to TPC Michigan, played with 3 locals members there, had some fun. Nothing fantastic stood out. And then I drove a couple hours to Lansing to a top 100 course called Eagle Eye. I mean, Eagle Eye was a really cool course. I know there's a lot of great golf, and in the years I've experienced the Arcadia, the Forest Dunes, some of those courses up there. But Eagle Eye was a really cool course, and it was just right along the freeway on the way to, Chicago area. So played Eagle Eye, had fun, and then I made the trip to Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Yes.
At any point in time, you get the mindset of, "Damn, it's a lot of golf. Like, I'd like a day off once or twice."
No, I mean, I was so committed. I mean, my wife will say the same thing. Like we went overseas a couple of times and, she knows that one of my dreams is to be like, I want a dude's trip, like a dude's golf trip to go out and play golf. I have lots of friends. None of them play golf like I do. I have friends at my country club I'm at now, and they do play golf and we try to set up things, but they'll be like, oh, let's go for a day to Inverness. Let's go for 2 days here. Let's go for two. And I'm just like, I want someone that just will go up and down the East or the West Coast or whatever. Like, give me 10 days, 20 courses, and a few grand in the bank, and let's go make it happen. Right. So,
Sick.
but I've grown up. And I mean, so the budget is not as conscious as it used to be. So I'll go play nicer courses. I went out and played Muirfield 2 years ago, the day before the tournament started, and it was like, that was just as cool as Deer Run because you got the grandstands. I mean, shoot, when I was playing at TPC Deer Run, they had all the workers around the grandstands that when I hit good shots in the greens, they started applauding for me. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And one guy was playing, he drove over to me, thought I was Gary Woodland. And I'm like, huh? And he's like, because I got a Cleveland bag,
Sure.
at the time. So I got my Titleist bag, my Cleveland bag. So I got my Cleveland bag. He thinks I'm Gary Woodland. And I'm
Well, yeah,
like,
you're wearing
dude,
pants too, right?
right. I'm like, I'm not sport and built that big. I'm like, I'm a little skinny 5'10" kid, right? Like I'm like, I'm not Gary Woodland. But it was nowadays trips are a little different than the way they used to be, but I mean, I'm still down. I go out there and play 36, 54 a day, but finding people that are dedicated enough to play that much, and I don't want to do it at one resort. I don't want to play the same courses over and over.
Yeah,
Pinehurst
it
is a
seems
great
it seems like you
example.
like the travel aspect a ton. Seems like that's
Absolutely.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you ever wanted to do, it would be a lot shorter, a part two where I went from Cleveland all the way up to Wisconsin. I mean, I played 10 courses in 5 days, and that was phenomenal, right? Kind of hit some of the courses that I wasn't able to hit on this trip, to be honest.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, but circling back, I went over to, Sheboygan, and that was right there where Black Wolf Run and Whistling Straits.
Mhm.
Something that I was very, I was looking forward to a bunch. And Black Wolf Run, they were going to do the 2012 US Women's Open.
Correct. Yeah, I
And
remember that.
now this is a good story. So I'm at Whistling Straits. I have a 4 o'clock tee time. And at 4 o'clock, I still think it's like $300 to play. So at 4 o'clock, I have a tea time and I'm at Black Wolf Run at like 7 in the morning or something like that. And so I go to Black Wolf Run. I'm the only one there. I played one of the 18 holes and I'm done by about 9:30. And so I go in there and I'm like, "Do you guys have a replay rate?" And they're like, "To play the other 18 holes?" They're like, "Yeah, it's 200 some bucks." And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm going to spend like $1,000 just
Yeah.
today." And I'm like, "But I have nothing to do. My tea time's at 4 o'clock, 10 minutes down the road." So I decided to play it because also in the 2012 US Women's Open, they were playing 9 holes from one 18 and 9 holes from the other 18. So they made it the original 18 holes that Black Wolf Run used to be. So I was at least able to play all 36 there. And then I get up to Whistling Straits and it's 1 o'clock. And the guy there that worked there, his name was Ed. And I was emailing Ed for 6 months about coming out there and playing. And Ed knew about my trip and everything. So I get to Whistling Straits. It's like 1 o'clock. I go in the clubhouse, fancy ass clubhouse, lots of really cool stuff. I mean, when you talk about like, souvenirs, I got a pin flag from everywhere. But here I definitely got like the bag tag. I got some divot tools that had the guy blowing the wind and stuff.
Yep, yep.
And so I get there and I'm super early and I ask for Ed at the pro shop. And they're like, "Oh, Ed's on the phone." I said, "All right." So I go out there and I'm dicking around, putting on the green, doing my circle drill. I'm wearing green pants, yellow shoes for the Packers because, as a side note, every state I went to, I wore the colors of their sports team there,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
in Alabama, I wore crimson red pants with a white shirt for Alabama. So I dress like the Packers up in Wisconsin. And so this guy comes out to the putting green. He goes, "Are you Chris?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm Ed." I'm like, "Man, nice to meet you, Ed." I go shake his hand. He's like, "So you really did it, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here, huh?" And he's like, "Man," he's like, "That's incredible." He's like, "How's it been so far?" He's asking me questions. And he's like, "Dude, I got a deal for you." And I was like, "All right, yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "I want you to experience this place the way it's intended to. I'm going to give you a caddy." He's like, "But the caddy is going to be $60. And I just want you to tip him $40. He's going to double loop with somebody else." And I said, "All right, cool. So $100 for the caddy." And I'm kind of looking at him like, "Well, I'm already spending 400 to play or 300 or whatever." And he says, "And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you out at 3 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock so that you make sure you can finish before dark, and I'm going to give you the PGA Tour rate of $65." And I'm like, "Sold. There we go." So I got for $165 with the caddy, which offset me playing that second round at Black Wolf Run. So I'm like, heck yeah. And so Whistling Straits was, I mean, I know a lot of folks that think it's the best course they've ever played in their life. I don't rank it that high. I think it's really cool. I think it's an awesome course. Everyone should play it. But I mean, Arcadia Bluffs across the lake is just as fantastic, and I played that years afterwards. But Whistling Straits is cool. I mean, they have 1,000 bunkers on the course. I think 50 of them are just when you're pulling into the course. They're not even in play. But this was right after the 2010 PGA Championship where Dustin Johnson had
Yeah,
that
correct.
mishap and
Rounded his
thought it was a
club. Yep,
waste.
yep.
Yeah, the waste bunker. So I get paired up with the guy. They had the tee marker set up for the 2004 PGA Championship, which was, I think, where VJ Singh won. And it's 7,500 yards. It's not windy, 5 to 10 miles an hour, nice and sunny. They said it was a very calm day. I was super excited. I made one birdie on number 10 because it's a really short hole. and I shot a 76. I was pretty happy with that. I didn't lose any balls. So the caddy that I had liked to read greens, and sometimes caddies don't know your game.
Sure.
They know generally which way greens are breaking, but they don't know exactly what your speed of the putt's going to be. And lately, I've been like at some of these courses and these folks get caddies. I'm personally against them because it's my game. I know if I have a caddy that's in our group, yeah, you want to rake the bunker, tend the flag, whatever, but don't fix my ball marks. This is my routine. I got
Sure.
it, right?
Yeah.
But he read some putts, and I felt like I could have had a couple birdies there, but I didn't because of the reads he gave me. It just didn't really work out, and I was like, ah, son of a gun. But lo and behold, I had a fun time there. That was a great day. I got a PGA Tour rate, and I'm like, man, I should be asking for this on every course. Like, hey, what's a PGA Tour rate? Maybe
Yeah.
I'll get
Yeah.
by with some of them. But yeah, then after that, nothing fancy. Drove all the way to Minneapolis, St. Paul area, where I worked at Sam Ash. We worked with a company called Electro Voice EV, which is owned by Bosch. And Bosch is located and headquartered right there in Minneapolis, I believe. And so I had the CEO of that company get us a couple of tee times. And lo and behold, I didn't realize it, but we played this course called the Wilds and another course called Mystic Lake. It's like a casino. I think it's like Native American lands kind of thing up
Okay.
there.
Yep.
He booked both rounds. He bought food. He paid for the round. So I got that whole day for free. And I was super stoked about that. Right. But
Well,
I mean,
I
even
was
if I
gonna
had,
ask you if you thought
yeah,
that Whistling Straits was the best bang for your buck, but I think you answered that question. If you get this whole day for free, I think this probably goes down as that's the best bang
yeah,
for your buck on the trip.
right. And I mean, it was two really cool courses. I mean, I will say, if you get to play Whistling Straits for $65, that's, yeah, that's the best bang for my buck for sure. But because of paying $300. And the crazy thing about Whistling Straits, though, is I teed off at 3 o'clock and I hit the best shot. And that was part of the 18th hole. I drove it to where Dustin Johnson was in the waste bunker, but I was in the fairways, that's good. Right. So
But he would
I'm in
have
the
paid
fairway.
handsomely for that shot.
Yeah, right. And not a big deal, right? So I hit it in the fairway. I hit this nice 5 iron into the back left corner, and they had it marked off in the waste bunker. And when I was walking by it, and I'm sure other people experienced it there because they had it what tee right where he hit his shot. Dude, it does not look like a bunker. I mean, they had people standing around in there. I'm like, it just looked like, I mean, we've all played municipal courses. It looked like where just grass wasn't growing,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I'm just in the dirt, right? And I would have had no idea. So I feel bad for DJ on that. He should have probably not got penalized and won that thing, but a technicality that sucks because they let people all over that course and they never really distinguished bunkers versus waste areas. But um, after Minnesota, I mean, we played those 2 rounds and then I drove over to North Dakota. And this is where I didn't have really any courses set up except for Hawk Tree. And Hawk Tree is a top 100 course. It's a gorgeous course. I remember the third hole maybe is a par three. I could be wrong, but it's like you look down like almost 100 to 200 foot elevation par three. And when you're on the back tee box, you can't even see where the green is. You have to go up to the front of the tee box and look over to see the green. And what else do I see? I see a bunker with black sand in it. I'm like, what is this?
That's
So I find
that
out.
that region of the country is very big for that. My son plays on a private course out in Billings, Montana that has black sand as well
Yeah,
all over the place. There's a bunch of
absolutely.
courses over there. And what's funny is I asked him, he sent me these pictures and they're incredible and stuff. I said, "Does it play any different?" He said, "It really didn't play any different." He said, "But it's the visual of it. We play on this white sand or even, like beach color sand all the time. And then you have your ball against this black backdrop." And he says it's just wild mentally. Like it took him a few holes to just kind of get used to it.
100%. Yeah, it's just the most I think that when I got to that hole, I hit a shot and it didn't go in the bunker and I threw a ball in there anyways. I'm like, I got to hit out of this stuff.
Yeah.
What is this? And it's the slag that they use, the type of ore that they use there. And yeah, it doesn't play any different. It just looks so much different, right? So I got to play that and there was a big storm rolling in and I'm halfway through North Dakota. And if you've ever driven through North Dakota, half of the state is boring as can be, and that's the eastern side. And so I leave that course. And while I was playing, I told these guys, I'm like, well, I don't know where else to play because everywhere I called, their courses were washed out from the river, and they said, There's a one they said there's one course out about 2 hours away maybe, and it's called Bully Pulpit. And they're like, "Go there. That's open." And I said, "Okay." So I leave Hawktree, big storm comes rolling through, and I make it to Bully Pulpit, and here comes this another huge storm. And now in between I'm driving there, it goes from the plains, little bit of rolling hills into like buttes and canyons, like completely different state. And I was like, "What am I in right now?" Called the Badlands, right? So I make it to Bully Pulpit, and this storm came in 45 minutes of the biggest downpour, and it's the most rain I've had the whole trip. I waited in there, and they said, "Yeah, we have 9 holes open. Half the course is flooded from the rivers, but you can play 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, and then go play like 13, 14, 15." The back 9 of that course, I wish I could play all of them. In fact, I got a wrap soda and a simulator here, and I play Bully Pulpit all the time because it's so much fun. But they in the Badlands, when you get back in the deep part of the course, it is unreal, visuals. I mean, they had this I think people play this, all the time where it's like a par 3, but the tees are, like, almost wrapped 180 degrees around this, like, island kind of green that's like on the top of a butte. It's really crazy looking. But that was just totally shocked by how that course looked. And so I got to play those 9 holes. They're like, "Well, you can play it again." I was like, "Why?" Yeah, I'm like, I've already
Sure,
played enough
sure.
golf. I'm like, "I'll just play these 9. I'm out of here." I got a long drive because it's probably another several hours to Montana to get to Old Works, which I think that might be in Billings.
No, it's yeah, it's not. That's western Montana. Billings is like southeastern Montana. It's kinda like the plains area and kinda like
Oh, you're
right
right.
where it's like an hour outside of Red Lodge, so, like, the crazy mountains start out that way and all that.
You're
But, yeah,
correct.
Billings is weird because it's like high plains, it's the plains, but you're at, like, 3,500 feet of
Yeah,
elevation, so it's not like the plains of Iowa and stuff, but it looks like that in some
in some
spots.
places.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're out west now in Montana, so you're kinda seeing the real kinda big sky country now that you're getting to
Oh,
play
yeah.
in.
Yeah, and I mean, I did a lot of snowboarding, so I've been to Colorado, Utah, a lot of these, Tahoe and places like that, but I never been to Montana to go snowboarding, and I know that's big sky country. So, I drive through the night, staying at some rest areas. I played at a place called Old Works, which I guess is a big mining area, but the cool backdrop because you got the big mountains in the background. It's kind of a flatter course, and then it has this big old mining place called the Upper Works, I believe, which was just really cool to see. And I played with these 3 local guys. They're all like, fly fishermen. I mean, it was just unreal dudes, right? They were so cool. And so I played there, and then I was driving to a place called Canyon River, just kind of a top rated Montana course. I know they don't have a lot to choose from over there, but it got me closer to Idaho. And so I drive up and I go into Canyon River, and this is where I had my best round of the whole trip. It's nothing special of a course. I play with these 2 guys that probably play 2, 3 times a year because in Montana, their seasons are so short. And
Yeah,
I'm just
especially
going
out
around.
there.
Right. So I'm just going out there and playing, and I'm dressed to the nines, and these guys are in jeans and t-shirts, right? That kind of course. And I think I was like 1 or 2 under at the turn, and I hear one of the guys turn to the other guy, and he's like, "This is like watching the pros on TV." And I'm like, "Oh my God." I was like, "How embarrassing." So I'm just tooling around with these guys and having some fun. I'm 4 under going to the 18th hole. It's a par 5. And I hit a good drive. I hit my second shot really close to the green and it went right off the left in the back. It's sitting up pretty, and I'm like, man, if I can just make a par here, I shoot 4 under, which ties my low round of the trip. And then I see that I'm only got a 10-yard chip, and I chip this ball to about a foot. I was like, all I got to do is that. If I chip it to a foot, I'm going to shoot a 67. And I chipped it in for 66. And I was like, oh, heck yeah. So I kept that ball. That's on my shrine behind this camera.
Those guys were probably
Um,
flipping out seeing that.
oh yeah, these guys were like, this is unreal. Like I mean, I just don't think at like these local public course, they see that caliber up in Montana because I mean, how many golf pros are from Montana? I don't know of many. They usually
Not
move
many, but
somewhere
let me
south.
tell you, the level of golf out there is astronomical.
Oh,
I didn't believe it either. Like,
really?
after the first half of my son's first collegiate season, it's unreal. Now,
Yeah,
granted, you're dealing with college kids that are coming from all over the country and internationally. So as
true.
far as local guys go, it might be different, but they have a really, really strong golf association out there, 406
Wow.
Golf. Yeah, it's there's some there's some ballers out there. But the thing is,
Yeah,
it's not in the quantities of like, say, like Florida or Southern California or even the New York
exactly.
metro area, you know? The top
Yeah.
guys can compete across the board, but you don't have 150 top guys.
Yeah, yeah, like, yeah, same with, Carolinas, like, when you get to play all year round,
Oh
it's so
god,
much
yeah.
different.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt that way when I was a junior playing in Ohio. It's like I only get to play for several months of the year. And, you move to California, that's the other reason why you can get a lot better. You get to play all year round, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. So, yeah, I mean, fast forward there, played in Montana. Then I get up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yep,
Uh,
yep.
that's where that's where they have that floating green. I read all about it,
Of
top
course.
course.
Everyone knows that, yeah.
Yeah,
What was the
dude. That
distance that day? What was it playing before you got out on the boat to go to the green?
65. Yeah, it was
Okay, alright.
165. Not too bad.
Yep.
It was really cool because when you get into that clubhouse, of course they're like, "Oh, you have to take a caddy." I'm like, "All right, no problem." And I'm by myself, and you can see the island green. I took tons of pictures. It looks so cool from the clubhouse. And I get out to the staging area, and here comes my caddy, this kid named Monty from Spokane, Washington. And Monty's this kid. He's a few years younger than me, probably in his mid 20s at the time, maybe early 20s. And, you get these golf carts at Coeur d'Alene. If you've never been, they're like built for Dr. Dre. It's like the 6'4" Impala of golf carts. I'm pretty sure they had heaters in there, 18-inch rims chromed out. I mean, these carts were sick. And I'm like, oh, these are dope. I think they even had turn signals, believe it or not. And so you get this golf cart, it's super comfy. And we get to the first tee, and I get my caddy, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know you got a caddy for me." I'm like, "Do you play golf?" And Monty's like, "Yeah, I play golf." I'm like, "Do you have your clubs with you?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Dude, I'll still tip you. Get your clubs. Let's play."
Ah,
And so he went out there. He got his
awesome.
clubs. Yeah, he linked up on the back of the cart. We played, and I'm not kidding. Not only is that course have I forget, it's like the 14th, 12th hole, whatever the par 3 is. That is exceptional in its own right, but that course itself is so cool. It has a really cool landscape, a great course, worth every penny. But yeah, I think we got up to that hole. I hit one on the green, he hit one on the green. And then I was like, let's take some videos. So we hit like 2 or 3 more shots because we're backed up. And then yeah, you take the little putter boat, it goes all the way over there. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, they could bring it up to like 75 yards, all the way back to like 200 and some yards. And I'm like, that is insane. And it was just I just sat on top of that green just in the middle of this lake, and I'm like, this is so cool. I'm like, what a design, you know? I'm worth every penny. And then you get the boat, you come back, you get to fill out their certificate of what you made on the hole. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool to play that course. And after that, I went to Circling Raven, another top course, nothing fancy about it. Cool course, played my 18 holes, was sad to say goodbye to Monty. Now, that guy, since he's younger, had a Facebook, and me and him actually still are Facebook friends to the day.
Yeah.
And I remember before I left, he told me, he's like, "Oh, I want me and my friends, we're going to do a trip like this." I think now he's married with a kid. And I'm like, I don't think they ever did a trip like this,
Sure,
but
sure.
he wanted to. So he was a cool kid. But after that day, I had a few hours, several hours driving through Washington and Oregon to get down to probably the more exciting part of the trip was Bandon Dunes. I was super excited for that. So
So you go out and tell the people how many holes you played in one day at Bandon.
yeah. So I played 63 holes in a day, all walking. It would have been 72 had I planned it a little better. But I didn't realize
Chris,
I was
you realize people are listening to this now and they're like, dude, they're like, bro, I play 63 holes in a month. You're getting it in a day. That's awesome.
yeah. No, it's true. So I mean, you said you had some other folks like Scott, out in the
Yeah.
Carolinas who just play
Yeah.
so much golf, and a kid that I know well, he would have been on board with this as well. And it's because of the deal you got. Back then, it used to be 220 for your first round,
Right.
120 for your second
Yep.
round, and any other round after that was free.
Free.
So I think now, obviously, it's more expensive. I think it's like at least an extra $100, but So I got there for Old McDonald at like 6:30 to 7 in the morning. I had the first tee time with 3 other guys. And this is one these 2 guys from Southern California, they had a caddy, and then there was another guy who was just some random guy. And I remember playing Old McDonald, the craziest greens, and I think they've redesigned them because they have not no one's told me it's still like this. They had like this fescue on the greens of Old McDonald that was probably about an inch or 2 tall, matted down. It was the craziest looking greens I've ever seen in my life. And I remember playing that first hole. I hit my first shot, hit a second shot. I was about 30 yards from the pin, and you can't tell where the green start and where the green ends. You just know there's a pin there. It looks a lot like Ireland, and now that I've been there, emulates it very well.
Mm.
And, I remember the caddy, he's like, "Hey, you're gonna wanna putt that from over there." And I got a pretty good short game. I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I'm pretty good. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna putt this from 30 yards." So I chipped it, hits 5 feet short of the pin, stops within inches of the hole. The caddy's like, "Never mind, do what you want." And I was like, "Yep." I was like, "I'll just do what I want." Okay. But they were all cool. Took us 4 hours to play. I get into the clubhouse. I'm like, "All right, where am I playing next?" They send me off at Bandon, pretty empty course. Took me about 3 hours or so to play Bandon Dunes, and had fun. I think I had one birdie, one bogey, shot really well there. And then I come back and I asked them, I said, "Well, what's open next?" And they said Pacific Dunes. And I said, "All right, let's go." So I go to Pacific and I got some great photos. That was, I mean, absolute awesome landscape. I mean, great pictures with the ocean. I mean, you see a lot of it on Old McDonald and Bandon as well, but Pacific gives you all the incredible views. And this was before they did the Sheep's Ranch and the other little stuff they were
Right,
have
right.
out there now. It was just those 4 courses. And so I'm playing Pacific and I'm kind of getting held up. And one of the rangers who's on a cart, he's the only guy on a cart out there because you have to walk all of these holes, is that he sees me halfway through the front 9. He says, "Hey, come on over here. I'm going to take you to these 3 holes. I'll wait for you, pick you up, bring you back to these 2 holes. And then after that, I'll take you to where you go from there. And you'll
Oh,
get
that's
past
awesome.
these people." And I was like,
Yeah, this
"Oh, dude, thanks
bottleneck.
so much." Yeah, so, like, so I went and did that, had fun. The last 6 holes, I played with one of their congressmen in Oregon, had me join him and his buddy the last, like, few holes. But I had an incredible time, and I get back, and I had a hotel called the Lily Pad, and this was the best hotel I've had. It was bougie as it could be. It was an awesome looking hotel, and I'm realizing I gotta leave at 3 in the morning to get to San Francisco. And, I'm like, "This is gonna suck. I'm not gonna have this hotel but more than a few hours, and it's the nicest one in there."
Hmm.
So I get to the lily pad, I take a shower, and I realize it's only 7:30 and it doesn't get dark till about 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I drove over to Bandon Trails and I asked the guy, I go, "Hey, can I play 9 holes?" He's like, "Well, not really." He's like, "It kind of goes out and comes back in. There's not really like, but 9 holes that you can do." He's like, "But what you could do is you could go play 1, 2, 3, jump over here, jump over there, jump here, there, and then play 16, 17, and 18." I was like, "All right, cool, I'll do it." And of course, the round's for free, right? So I was like, I mean, when in Rome, when in Bandon, right?
Yeah, for
Play all
sure.
4 if you
For
can.
sure.
So I was walking the first 3 holes at Bandon Trails. It's kind of getting sunset time, and I hear some animals up in the trees, or in the trees rather. And I started running the first 3 holes because I thought there were bears out there or something, or mountain lions. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to kind of run till I see civilization, which they're all on the back 9 finishing up. But I ended up getting to play like the first 3 holes, a mixture of some other holes, and then the last 3. So yeah, 63 holes, walking all day. That was incredible. And at that point is when I realized I could do the 40 golf courses in 20 days
Right,
because I've got to
right.
play 4 in one of them. So, but that place is off the hook. I would go back there in a second. That place is awesome.
So now you finish up, we're driving to San Francisco, right? Is this the last day of the trip here?
So this is the last day of the trip, of my actual day off of work. Of course, I did not wake up until 5 or 6 o'clock at the lily pad. I wasn't getting out of there at 3. It was just so comfortable. And I called Harding Park because I know I played so many courses, and I'm like, I've already played 38 and 18 at that point. And so I called Harding Park. I had an 11 o'clock tee time. I said, "Hey guys, I'm not going to be there till like 2." And they're like, "Dude, don't even worry about it with the weather here. You'll be fine." And I'm like, "The weather? I'm driving. It's 75 and sunny on the coast of California and in Northern California here." I'm like, "What are they talking about weather?" Well, I've never been to San Francisco before. And everything was great until about 15 minutes driving up to Harding Park. And all of a sudden, it went from 75 and sunny to misty, foggy, rainy, 50 degrees, microclimate. And I pulled in the golf course. I'm like, no wonder why nobody's here. So the guy gave me the local rate. I think it was like $60 to play 18, walking 18.
That's
And I
great.
got to play with this dude there who lives in the city. And I'm asking him, like, what's up with the weather? He's like, oh yeah, it's always like this. I'm like, and how much is your rent in San Francisco? It's like, he tells me, he's like, I'm paying $2,200 for a one bedroom apartment. I go, and why do you live here? I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, it's 50 degrees, but it did feel nice because all I thought about this whole time is I'm playing in 100 degrees, 80 degrees, you know? So it was a little breath that I could actually put on a quarter zip for the first time, right? So, but I got to play Harding Park. And even though it was foggy and spooky, it was the coolest pictures came out because those cypress trees that grow on the sides, I mean, that course was so cool. I had a lot of fun there. And after we got done with that, I took off and went home. Got home at about midnight that night. I hung out with my roommate for a couple of hours, just bullshitting about the trip and everything, showing him all the souvenirs, the pin flags, and then the next morning I woke up at like 6 in the morning and joined with the old guy group at Rec Park and went and played 9 holes with them in the morning, just to say I did 40 and 20.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah,
that wrapped it all
nice.
up. Yeah.
You mentioned the merchandise you purchased. What were like give me your 2 favorite things that you got on the trip?
Honestly, my most favorite thing that I have is the divot tool that I got from Whistling Straits. It has the old man blow in the wind metal divot tool. I got one for my buddy Brendan. I got one for me, and I have had that thing so long. And I stopped using it because the ends of the divot tool became a knife, essentially like a pin. And I remember I put my hand in my pocket to grab my divot tool, and it literally I had blood coming out of the tip of my finger. And so it's been retired on the shelf, but that was like the coolest thing that I've got on the trip because it's just so iconic. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it was all the pin flags that I have all over the place,
Yeah, what do you think the best logo was on the pin flag that you've gotten?
best logo on the pin flags that I've gotten. I mean, Coeur d'Alene shows the island green. That one was really cool. Yeah. And Cog Hill's logo is awesome. I mean, that Cog Hills logo is kind of one of those you get tattooed on yourself, like a guy carrying a bag with the pin flag next to
Yeah,
him. Like,
yeah.
that's kind of a cool logo. So I like Cog Hill. Coeur d'Alene's pretty dope too. So yeah, those are the two that are the coolest for me.
Now, people are gonna see this on Instagram, and they'll see some of the visual podcast. Run me through your room real quick. I mean, it looks like you just camped out in the middle of a golf galaxy, like, you're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
guys, we're gonna record a podcast here." I mean, this is
Yeah.
crazy, like, you've literally got factory shelving with
Yes.
sets back there.
So Golfsmith used to be a thing, right? And so when they were going out of business in Charlotte and where I worked at, we dealt with a lot of slat wall with retail merchandise. And so what ended up happening is with the retail merchandise that we had, I ended up taking a piece of slat wall and Golfsmith was selling everything off the shelf. So I have all of my clubs on a rack. So it looks like a golf shop.
Yeah,
That's my Ireland and Scotland shrine that I have of flags. And then this side is going to be where I have a lot of my other stuff, more shrines. And then honestly, one of the coolest things that I did do for this trip as I walk you around here was this is the logo balls of
oh,
everywhere I went on
very
the trip.
cool. Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the whole trip with a lot of the bag tags, Whistling Straits. I even have my golf glove that I still have from the trip. Right. So,
that's
which is
yeah,
pretty cool and
great, dude,
kind
this
of
is
leads into like,
fantastic.
there's Bandon Dunes, one of the
Yep,
holes that they had out there. So, and then I got the mixture of that and all of yeah, pretty much all my stuff, my hole in one flags at Firestone and among some other ones that are around, and then trophies and hole in one, all that good stuff. So it's
yeah.
a pretty big man cave, and there's definitely a lot of golf stuff. But yeah, as far as the flags, I ended up putting them all up here because I don't have any more room for them. But there's all the Bandon Dunes, all the TPC courses I played, and then even comes down to this wall next to the treadmill and everything. So there's all the flags from where I went. But yeah,
Nice.
I mean, it was incredible. Yeah, it was a lot of merchandise. But I mean, I could have went all out. I could have got shirts, hats,
Sure, oh my
everything. But
god, you
I
could
would
have
have.
blown 1,500, 2K
Oh,
at every single spot
at
easily. I know how that
least, at
is,
least.
without a doubt.
And I mean, And out in Ireland, I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I'd go to like Ballybunion or went to St. Andrews. I mean, the round is $400 at Royal
Yeah.
County Down. I still spent $600 in merchandise. It was $1,000 day, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, you
I
can go broke in
understand.
a lot of these
I
clubhouses. That's for
understand.
sure. Yeah.
So look, people are gonna listen to this. They're gonna be envious. They're gonna try to replicate. They're gonna, hopefully get inspired by it. Where can people find you on social media to kind of keep up
Yeah.
with
So,
you?
yeah, my handle on Instagram is short game assassin. So it's a short underscore assassin, short game assassin with the underscores in between the words. But you can find me on there if anyone ever has any questions. I mean, I've planned probably several trips after this trip, not to the extent, but anytime anyone ever has advice, man, I mean, I love trips. I love planning trips. One of my buddies is buddies with, you've ever heard of Adamson Links?
No.
Out in Scotland, Ireland. So Adamson Links is a company that's kind of new in the last several years, but they you call them up and they'll plan your Ireland or Scotland
Okay.
trip for you.
Gotcha. One stop shop.
So one of my buddies, Dan, out in Charlotte, at the club I was at Piper Glen, he always had these Irish guys come out and they plan trips. I would love to work for them, but I don't think they're going to pay 100 grand for me to tell people where to go.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of these trips. They're fun. They're super fun. I hope everyone gets to experience something like it because you're missing out if you haven't, even if it's just a smaller trip, but the whole boys trip going to one resort, try to go other places. There's so much good golf in America. I suggest they go everywhere they can, and if anyone ever wants to come out to Firestone, yourself included, I'll host any one of you people that listen to you, right? Because I love playing with
Love
folks.
that. Love
Telling
that.
stories. I don't care what your handicap is. You want to come out and play. I mean, I'll host anybody. So
Hey, you
I
heard that.
love
You got
playing
an
with people.
open invitation in Ohio to Firestone. Chris, thank you so much for your time. Honestly,
You're
appreciate it
welcome.
greatly. All
All
right,
right. Yeah,
people.
no problem, Dan. Thanks for having me.
All right, of course. So either get busy golfing or get busy dying.
Yeah.
All right, we're clear. It's just going to kind